Hi, mis amigos y mis amigas. It's so wonderful to see you. This is Miss M. I am a first grade teacher at Indiana Digital Learning School. And today, the story that I'm going to read is Heron and the Hummingbird. So, this is specifically being recorded for INDLS First Grade kiddos who are working on their lessons Lit Comp Lesson 17.3 and 17.4, but anybody can enjoy this story. So, what we usually do is I will have you pause the video and go get the book if you don't already, called K-12 Classics for Young Readers, Volume A. All right, and then I'll tell you the page. I will do a short picture walk, and then I will read through the story. Now, if any of you have listened to my videos already, it's not just any read aloud. I stop a lot and we talk about the book. I've tried to just read a story all the way through. Sorry, I try, but I like to teach and ask questions as we go through, okay? So what I'll ask is after we do the picture walk, then you can close your eyes and picture the story in your mind as I'm reading, but I'd love you to keep listening to it, talk it over with your loved one so that we get the most out of this story, all right? We'll talk about the moral, the setting, the characters, a problem and solution. All right, so you hopefully know the drill, and if you don't, let's have some fun. I would like you to please pause this video and go get your book. Don't forget to unpause it, or you're going to be sitting there looking at me frozen for a while. Ready? 3, 2, 1, Hajime, go. You always do that. You unpause it when I'm being silly. I love you. Okay. Now, this story is on page 206, 206. Now, if you weren't sure, you can always look at the beginning of the book. There's this wonderful thing called the contents. Okay, and as you flip it, you're going to see these letters at the bottom. Those are actually Greek numbers. I know. And they do that sometimes in books so you know the difference between the stories and other mishmash that is before it. So you're going to see an I and a V. And this story would be on page V, which is 5, and it says Heron and the Hummingbird, page 206. Okay, so I'm going to flip there. And I'm going to talk briefly about some of the pictures. So looking at page 206 and 207, I see a big bird and a little bird. I think the big one's a heron, and the small one, I'm pretty positive, is a hummingbird. Now, it looks like they are outside and maybe in water. I see fish and cattails. Um, think about that. That's the setting where the story takes place. And we're already having an idea from the title, Heron and the Hummingbird, who are two of the main characters. All right, turn the page. And I see little pictures. I see the heron and the hummingbird flying, and then I see them, but it looks like it's nighttime. And then when I look on page 209, I see the hummingbird with a beautiful flower. I wonder if that's a hibiscus. Oh, yeah, those are ones that I really like. But I keep seeing both of them in the same picture. Turn the page. This is a long story. And I see on page 210, 210, I see the heron in a tree. I see the hummingbird. And then look at the really big picture on 210 and 211. I see the heron, and it looks like he's eating a fish. And I see the hummingbird, and he looks like he's hanging around some beautiful blue purple flowers. I like this picture a lot. I love the colors. Remember where we think it takes place. Inside, outside, where might we find water? Okay, so now I'm going to read the story. And remember, I stop often. You can follow along with me the best that you can. It's very difficult, but I also want you to listen and really think about what the story is and playing that video, that picture in your mind as I go through it. Okay, here we go. Heron and the Hummingbird, a Hitchiti tale retold by S.E. Schlosser. Okay, and I had to sound that out. I might be wrong. Heron and Hummingbird were very good friends, even though one was tall and gangly and awkward, and one was small and sleek and fast. They both loved to eat fish. Hummingbird preferred small fish like minnows, and Heron liked the large ones. One day, Hummingbird said to his friend, I am not sure there are enough fish in the world for both of our kind to eat. Oh, I kind of feel a problem coming on. 207. Why don't we have a race to see which of us should own the fish? Heron thought that was a very good idea. They decided that they would race for 4 days. The finish line was an old dead tree next to a faraway river. Whichever of them sat on top of the tree first on the 4th day of the race would own all the fish in the world. There's going to be a race. Turn the page. They started out the next morning. Hummingbird zipped along, flying around and around Heron, who was moving steadily forward, flapping his giant wings. Then Hummingbird would be distracted by the pretty flowers along the way. He would flit from one to the other, tasting the nectar. When Hummingbird noticed that Heron was ahead of him, he hurried to catch up with him, zooming ahead as fast as he could and leaving Heron far behind. Heron just kept flying steadily forward, flapping his giant wings. Hummingbird was tired from all his flitting. When it got dark, he decided to rest. He found a nice spot to perch and slept all night long. But Heron just kept flying steadily forward all night long, flapping his giant wings. Now, some of you may be thinking, I've heard a story kind of like this. What story have maybe you heard that I'm going to record next, where two animals were racing and one was going slow but steadily and the other one was really fast? What do you think? I'm not going to tell you, but I bet you know. Tell a loved one what you think. Page 209. When Hummingbird woke in the morning, Heron was far ahead. Hummingbird had to fly as fast as he could to catch up. He zoomed past the big, awkward Heron and kept going until Heron had disappeared behind him. Then Hummingbird noticed some pretty flowers nearby. He zipped over to them and tasted their nectar. He was enjoying the pretty scenery and didn't notice Heron flapping past him with his great wings. Hummingbird finally remembered that he was racing with Heron, and he flew as fast as he could to catch up with the big, awkward bird. Then he zipped along, flying around and around Heron, who kept moving steadily forward, flapping his giant wings. For 2 more days, Hummingbird and Heron raced toward the far distant riverbank with the dead tree that was the finish line. Hummingbird had a marvelous time sipping nectar and flitting among the flowers and resting himself at night. Heron stoically kept up a steady flapping of his giant wings, propelling himself forward through the air all day and all night. Hummingbird woke from his sleep the morning of the 4th day, feeling refreshed and invigorated. He zipped toward the riverbank with the dead tree. When it came into view, he saw Heron perched at the top of the tree. Heron had won the race by flying straight and steady through the night while Hummingbird slept. So, from that day forward, Heron has owned all the fish in the rivers and lakes, and Hummingbird has sipped from the nectar of the many flowers that he enjoyed so much during the race. What I'd like you to think about is, who won the race and how can we tell by what they said at the end? If Heron now owns all the fish in the river and lakes, did he win the race or did he lose? If Hummingbird has now sipping the nectar from flowers, Did he win or lose? Turn to your loved one. Who do you think won? And what was the moral? Now I'm going to tell you the other story that I'm going to record next, The Tortoise and the Hare. If you know that story, and even if you're not sure, your loved one can help you. The heron won by doing what? Even though he was slow, did he ever stop? He just kept going. But what about the hummingbird? Why did the hummingbird lose the race? He was really fast. But what kept happening to Hummingbird and why he lost the race? Turn to your loved one and talk about that. Te amo. I love you. Hasta luego.